little bit of volume here. Okay. Take off my glasses. Hey, everybody. Sorry about those technical difficulties. Uh, Figuring out the live stream. This is the August 10th MFM info session for grant funding. We have an incubator coming up. So we like to do these and give everybody a chance to learn the ins and outs of what they're going to be getting into for the grant incubator, if you choose to be a part of that, or if you're just tuning in from home and you want to learn some information about how to get a grant through the process of going through MFM. This is the place to be. A little bit catching up right now because of technical difficulties, and it's weird talking to camera with. But there are some people here, so thank you. Anyways, enough rambling. Yeah, we have Stephen Carroll today from MFM who is going to walk us through the whole process. And I want to let you know that Manitoba Music is located on the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Innuak, Anishinaabe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our office is located on Treaty 1 territory, and our work extends to communities throughout Treaties 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We honor and recognize that we receive our clean drinking water from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories and also recognize that some people have been excluded from these treaties. We are grateful to the many people who have shared their lived experience with us. We are committed to truth, reconciliation, and collaboration, and recognize that as an organization, we must always work in partnership and consultation with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Thank you very much for that, and we are super happy that you're going to join us. So I'm going to stop being awkward and just let this thing happen.
Great. Thanks, Alex. Thank you, everybody here in the room for coming out, venturing out in the rain, and everybody at home. Appreciate you guys tuning in as well. So we're going to give a little overview today of our funding programs, but focused on the Produce program, which is our rebranded recording program. For all of you guys interested in our upcoming September 21st deadline, and thank all those people who are here participating in the incubator for the next few weeks. It's going to be a fun ride. And you're going to have mentorship opportunities and so forth with your mentors, as well as with myself and Bonnie at MFM. We're here to help you guys through the whole process, so I encourage you guys to reach out, stay connected with us as you go through your application process. And ideally, at the end of this journey, once you get your application all sorted, you send it to Bonnie, or you connect with Bonnie and I for us to go over with you as the last set of eyes before you officially submit it. So the deadline is coming up in September, so we've got a good amount of time, 5 weeks or so, to September 21st at 5 p.m. is that deadline. So, as Alex said, I'm Stephen from Manitoba Film Music, your neighborhood funding agency. We are located just a few streets over here on Lombard Avenue. We've got a little PowerPoint for you, and we're going to take a look at the portal. So I'm just going to give you an information session on the services that we have, as well as how to navigate a bit of the portal for those who haven't used it before. We'll start with a PowerPoint, if that's okay, and then they'll kind of branch out for a second into the portal and give you guys a bit of a tour of what to expect when you're doing that. And I'll try to keep it pretty brief. I've emailed out to, we've got some later arrivals here in the room. I've emailed out to Shanine and Alex a overview document, which is basically a cheat sheet on all of our programs, but specifically it has some information on the recording program. So you can take a look at that and just refer to that. So you don't need to remember everything that I'm going to tell you here. That stuff is there. And anybody online who's interested in receiving that document, I'm happy to email it to you too. You can just connect with us through socials or send a request that you'd like it, or you can email me at stephen@mbfilmmusic.ca. So without further ado, let's jump into a bit of information on the programs. So we were established in 1986, if anybody doesn't know what we do. And we have film programs, which are tax credits, as well as film investments. And then on the music side, we have a suite of programs, which I'll give you a little overview of right now. And you want to throw to the PowerPoint? Great. Well, we're on the PowerPoint. Beauty. So across Canada, there's a lot of funding available. We We are kind of one of a suite of programs that are out there. If you guys are interested in securing additional funding for any of your stuff, Canada Council offers funding for music, Manitoba Arts Council, Winnipeg Arts Council, and then those three categories there are funding a lot of arts for art's sake funding, and we're a little bit different. We're like interested in the commercialization of art, in particular for us, music and film, and for these other two agencies, Factor is interested in funding music only, and Manitoba Music actually have some programs as well. So just a bit of background, so you know, generally you can find recording funding in a lot of those places, as well as our office. So this is the list of programs that we have. Promote is our marketing and video program, which we combined out of the ashes of our former proper marketing and video programs. Perform is the tour program. Build is our business development program. Produce is the recording program. We have a tier of the recording program for out-of-province artists as well, should there be anybody tuning in from out of province, or any local studios who are interested in making applications. I'm going to go into quickly, I'm going to talk about those 5-6 programs, just to give you a quick synopsis. So Promote, it's there to support you if you're interested in marketing an existing recording, as well as doing basic content creation. It's kind of a one-stop shop for everything that you could need for promoting a new work. And so this is something you guys could use if you do get funded by MFM in the future, or another agency even, to promote that recording. So buying ads online, hiring team members such as publicists, radio trackers, or whatnot, as well as creating videos and other kind of content. And if you have any questions about that, you can ask me about that directly after the presentation, and we can set up a meeting to talk about specifics. It's an annual funding cap of $10,000 for that program. And there's a tier for those who have not received investment through our recording program, and that is a award maximum of $5,000, and that's per fiscal. All this stuff is in the handout that's being emailed to you guys if you haven't received it, so you don't have to take all the notes. But Perform program is the rebranded tour program, and that is to support artists who are looking to do tour dates outside of their hometown. Kind of a key thing there is you have to have a minimum of 4 shows. But they can be anywhere in the world, and we ask that they're not more than 7 days apart. And the 2 tiers for that are $15,000 maximum annual cap, and then a $7,500 cap for those who have not received MFM investment for their current release. The triggers here are that we need a current release, like something coming up in the next 6 months. Could be a single, could be an EP, could be an album. And just so you know, we don't ever give out the whole amount at the same time on these awards often. Usually it's a small investment on the tour program to subsidize your tour. It's because it's oversubscribed all the time, so we don't have tons of cash sitting around to hand out $15,000 checks. The other program that's of interest is the Build program, and that's for music companies such as labels, management companies, or publishers. And there's 2 tiers for that. There's a level 1, which is actually open to music presenters as well, and it's an award of up to $3,000. And then there's a level 2, which is open to labels and publishers and artist managers that have a minimum of 2 Manitoba artists on their roster, and that is an award of up to $15,000. So that one is generally for people that are building businesses, and it has this deadline per year, whereas the Promote and Perform programs with the tour and marketing are rolling deadlines. So today's matter at hand, the upcoming MFM recording deadline, and this one is September 21st, and it marks our 2nd recording deadline of the year. We had one in May, we had one in September, and we have one in January. And these are the tiers. So there's 4 tiers to this program. There's a level 1 demo, which is an award of $2,000, a level 1 commercial release, which is an award of $3,000, an award for level 2 of $10, and an award for level 3 of $20. So as the financial award goes up, so does the difficulty in achieving successfully pulling that money from us. And depending on where you're at in your career, it can be advisable to go for one of the lower levels, depending on where you're at. If you're an established artist with a full team and you've had some recognition, let's say some good spins or have huge following online, then you might be able to get a level 3. But if you're just getting going, and let's say you're in the incubator, you might want to start with a level 1 demo or a level 1 commercial release. And I'll talk a bit about how those programs can be used. And so just a little point of interest. In these programs, we're funding you guys to a certain percentage of your budget. So I'll go over this in a second, but as part of your application process, you submit a budget, and that's just can be estimated costs, and we have a template. And for level 1, both the level 1 demo and level 1 commercial release will come in for 100% of that budget. So if your budget's 100% or a maximum of 2,000 or 3,000, depending what you're coming in on. So if your budget ends up being, after you add up everything, you've got your producer costs in, you've got your mixing costs, your mastering, your manufacturing. Let's say you're doing manufacturing, your design cost. If that budget equals $1,500 and you're coming in for a level 1, we'll give you 100% of that cost, so $1,500. If your budget ended up being $2,500, we'll cap that award at $2,000. So it kind of gets governed always by those two top numbers, but it's 100% of the cost. So we did that during COVID, and we've stuck with it. Level 2 is only award of 75% of the budget. So if your budget was $15,000, we're only going to come in for a maximum of 75% of that, or 10,000. In this case, it would be 10,000. So a little bit of math there. If you have any questions about that, the easiest way to do this exercise is just work on your budget. I'll give you the template. I'm going to email it to you guys. And actually, it's a download from our website, but I can email it to you as well. Run those numbers through, and so you'll get a sense of where your award will be in that case, depending on what level. Each of these have a number of songs that are part of a criteria too. So level 1 demo, we want you to record a minimum of 2 songs. Level 1 commercial release, which is just straight up level 1. Sorry, can you hear me okay? Alex is running around behind me for those online who can't see. He's mixing me right now. I think he's producing this session. Are you putting some good beats under this? I hope so. Yeah, so level 1 commercial release is could be a single or it can be a full length. Okay, so up 1 song or more. Level 2, it's got to be a minimum of 5 songs. Level 3, and it's a minimum of 6 songs. And I believe that's all in the handout, so you can that can serve as an advice. This is general advice, but you can look at that as a reference. So again, level 2, you're going to minimum of 2 songs I want to get out of you. Level 1 can be a single. Level 2, it's going to be a minimum of 5 songs, like an EP or full length. Level 3 can be a minimum of 6. Level 1's the most flexible, so you can come in, make a single, or you can do an EP, or you can do an album. It's up to you. It's generally one of the more easier levels to get. Level 1 demo perhaps is the easiest. Level 2 is for artists who have begun to establish themselves, maybe have a bit of track record nationally, have perhaps performed outside of Manitoba, or have had broadcast, or have really strong streams or social media following. Level 3, again, is for established artists, and that is for persons that have maybe a national track record or international track record already. We'll have 3 of the big 5 team members, like an agent, manager, publicist, etc., on board. Whereas level 1, you can be doing a lot of these things yourself, and the juries will let you through. That's a good point. It's a juried program. So this is a juried program with 3 deadlines per year, which I went over at the hop. So we're looking for the September deadline, and then we're going to be running a January deadline as well this year. And just a little information on the jury. So the juries are made up of peers from the music community. So there'll be industry members who will have knowledge about the local music community, but we do now and then have people participate from outside of the province. We run the juries online, and then what they'll do is they'll receive your documents and your demos in advance. It's all built into our portal system. There's a jury aspect to it, and once you guys get a little more established writing grants, I may tap on your shoulder to bring you in as jurors. So, and it's a confidential process, so the jurors don't talk about their participation, as well as they don't talk about anything that they've read or heard. We keep that, it's very confidential, and we're really strict about that. And the juries will receive that information will receive your kind of grant in advance of our meeting, which we'll hold to discuss and look over the applications. The jurors will have scored the applications, and we have criteria for quality of the music, quality of the plan, and then we all gather for a meeting. We don't show the juries every single application. We do it based on genre, and usually in groups of 12 to 15 applications. Just so you know, so that's kind of the background while you guys are sweating and fretting about what the outcomes are. There's people working through all the applications to listen to them, and they're groups of 3. Bonnie and I don't participate in the initial round. And then we have a final super jury, which looks over the scores, looks over the ones that came out of the first round, aka the approved ones and perhaps the declined ones. And we ensure that there's no errors, that there's no scoring anomalies. And then we set the final awards based on how much budget we have. And then we look for, in case there's program priorities that haven't been addressed by the juries, we look for opportunity to do that if we have budget. So since I have folks in the room, I'm kind of been rambling pretty fast. Any questions so far for anybody in the room? Okay, no questions. And if any pop up online, I don't know if we're having any feedback online because we're on YouTube. You can always hit us up. If you do have questions, please do not hesitate to contact us if you're online or if you guys here in the room as you go through the incubator process. Okay. So we do have a track for out-of-province artists. I'm just sort of giving this to everybody here for information and for people online who may be interested in this. This is a program for studios, engineers, producers, Manitoba-based managers or labels to bring in an artist from anywhere in the world to record in Manitoba, working at a Manitoba recording facility. And it's grown in popularity. I think last deadline was the highest amount of out-of-province artists applying. We don't fund that many, but it's always great that we see those number of applications. And yeah, so this is just one tier of our program. And it's the same deadline. Okay, so a bit of an information on what to expect when writing a grant. How many people in the room here have written a grant before? You got a couple, 3, yeah. Okay, oh, well, it's half the room. Okay. How many people apply to Manitoba Film Music? I can't see too well. I know some faces, yeah. Okay. So our format for receiving applications is our online portal, which I'll kind of dive into in a second, then I'll jump back to this. In that, you're going to have to fill out some information on who you are. That's the initial step. And who you are as an artist. That's what I mean. Who you are as a person, but also who you are as an artist, such as your bio, social media information. And as well, for this application, you're going to have a few things prepared. We ask that you have a registered business to apply to Manitoba Film and Music, or sorry, to receive funding from Manitoba Film and Music. You don't have to have a registered business at the time of application, but because, as I mentioned earlier, we're not an arts for, or we're interested in the commercialization of music. We're not an arts for our sake organization. We want you guys to have a business set up, which we believe is one of the foundational concepts to set you on the right path for having a proper career. Because in a lot of ways, you guys are businesses, or truthfully, you are businesses, and we want to drive that home, and therefore, we ask you to have a registered business. But at the time of application, you don't need a registered business. You can just do it. You can let us know that you're going to work on it, and if you do get funded, we hope that by that point you have got your name registered. And to register, you just have to go to the Manitoba Company's office, which is quite simple to do. It's all online. It costs about $100. Another thing to keep in mind is that for receiving money to your business, you'll need a business account associated with that name, and you can get those set up for fairly cheap at a lot of banks. Or sometimes your personal account can be a wing of your personal account can be used for business. So you should just talk to your bank about that. That only comes into play, though, if you get funded. So you don't need to worry about it right now. But as part of this setup, you're also going to give us your social media information, and I'll show you what that looks like, a bio, and a few other pieces. And in the application forms themselves, we have this list here, which I've been rambling over, of items that you'll have to include. Your demos, rough demos of the material. Okay, so it could be just a 2-track, stereo recording, that's totally fine. Just something simple. If you have a friend who has an OK setup and can just do it live off the floor, that can be fine. It's not necessarily the fidelity of the recording that matters. It's the quality of the performance. So for level 1, it's a requirement you submit 2 demos. For level 1 demo, it's a requirement you submit 2 rough demos. For level 1 commercial release, it's 1 if it's a single. If it's an album, or EP, it's 2 songs. Level 2, it's 3 songs, and same with level 3, 3 songs. So to recap, for a demo, you have to submit 2 songs, rough demos. The level 1 commercial release is 1 song. If it's 1 song that you're submitting, or a full album or EP, it's more than that. It's 2 songs. Level 2, it's 3 songs. Same with level 3. So here are a few items that I've listed here. I'm going to try to jump back 1 slide, back to this list of the programs. And just wanted to mention what the purpose of some of these levels are. So the level 1 demo is a chance for you to go into a studio and explore the material in its proper studio environment, work with the producer for the first time, and flush out arrangements, etc. Refine the material before you officially cut it. Level 1 commercial release, however, is actually to put the stuff out in the marketplace. So you're going to actually need a release date, and that's something to think about. Think about what distribution service you're going to use if you're self-releasing, like DistroKid, CD Baby, TuneCore. Put that in the app, those kind of things. And that's a key difference. Level 2, it's 5 songs or more, so it's an EP or full album also for commercial release. Level 3, same deal, but 6 songs, so a full album for commercial release. So I just wanted to touch upon that, the difference between the level 1 demo and level 1 commercial release. And just for my interest, how many people here are interested in coming in for a single or something for commercial release? Pretty much almost everybody, maybe? Yeah. So level 1 commercial release, you'll want to make sure you have a fulsome marketing plan as well, and I'll talk about marketing plans, in a second. Other pieces to include: resumes of your production staff, which can just be a bit of information, short paragraph on the bio, or a bio on your producer or your mixer, whoever you're working with, or producers, if you're working with a bunch. You're going to include the budget, which I mentioned, which is a template, and it's quite simple to use now. Don't let it daunt you. Just run some numbers down there and test it out. And then, letter of support, which would be a letter from an external person, not, let's say, somebody who's working on the project. It could be your producer, but ideally somebody in the community or some persons in the community that support your project and are interested in seeing you succeed, such as like a local promoter, maybe a radio person, or a journalist, or somebody from the actual music industry, like an agent, label, or promoter. Yeah, and Shanine is mentioning, we have a question? Right. So the question is coming in from online, which you guys maybe see on chat. Can you apply for multiple levels at the same time? You cannot apply for multiple levels of the recording program at the same time. You can apply for multiple different programs at the same time. You could come in for produce as well as promote and the perform program in theory, but we don't accept more than one application by an artist to one deadline. So, as also part of the application process, you're going to prepare a marketing plan, and this is something your mentors are going to work on with you. This will probably be the biggest part of the project, aside from the music creation and the rough demos and all the work you guys are probably already doing right now. And so the marketing plan, if you've never written one before, it's a bit of an interesting exercise. It's a sort of a hybrid between an artistic statement as well as a statement about the commercialization of your record and what you're going to do. And in it, you should have a pretty thorough, detailed plan, a vision for what you're going to do to take that recording to the marketplace, how you're going to promote it, how you're going to essentially find an audience for it. So here's kind of a list of items that I like to see in a marketing plan and that generally do resonate with the jurors. And if you cover all these bases in a marketing plan, you'll probably have written a pretty thorough marketing plan. And I used to write a lot of grants. I was a touring musician for years and also an artist manager. And so I applied for a lot of funding and always found this writing of grants to be a bit of drudgery, a painful exercise. But later, I'd always end up referring back to these marketing plans for my master plan for my campaigns, especially when I was an artist manager, and I found it quite useful. And it's a chance for you to visualize what you want to do and what you want to achieve with this recording. Like, you have spent a lot of time visualizing what you want to do with this, what you want to do with the music itself, like how it should sound, what the composition should be, and you put tons of time into that. Well, here's a chance for you to do the other side of that, what you want it to do in its public life, how you want it to be received, and how you will promote it. And so here in this list are basically most of the things that you would need to do to run a successful campaign. You do these in various levels. You're not necessarily going to be running a international social media campaign or something like that with, all sorts of interesting content going out in multiple regions across the globe, but do what you can with what you have. Likely you guys are indie artists who are working alone or enlisting friends or maybe a few teammates to work on this. So scale, use what you can. So first item that should be in it is a project overview. So this is a chance for you to tell the juries, because this is one of the exercises. You have to convince the jury to invest in your recording over others. That give the jury a little synopsis of what you're doing. Should be a paragraph, where you record, like why you're recording, where you're recording, when you're recording, why it's important, and when it will come out. Put in who's on the production team, and maybe put a little context, like I am artist so and so. This is the second, or always in the third person. By the way, always write this in the third person. Artist so and so is coming in for their funding for the second EP, follow up to a few singles that were released over the last year, working with a local producer at Studio X. The release date is October something 2023, and we'll be releasing it across all platforms via our distributor service, etc. Boom, in one paragraph, the jury knows everything about the project that's probably pertinent, who you're working with, when it's going to come out, where it fits in your career line, and they can fill in the gaps. The rest of the document sort of just supports that thesis, so to speak, that statement. So the rest you can fill out on your own. Like, you probably have already thought about what marketing you want to do, maybe you're already undertaking a lot of activity, and you can just write in, not necessarily a novel here. We're just talking a short paragraph on each of these topics. Have some idea what you're going to do. If you have a video person working on the recording with you, if you already know who's going to do the videos for your recording, put that in there. If you have a team member that's going to work on this with you, like an external publicist or digital strategist, put their names in there. Explain what they're going to do. And if you're missing something in this, and you see this list and you go, I don't have a radio strategy. Well, that's maybe something to think about. Because bare minimum, you should probably be servicing it to college radio, and you should talk to your mentors about that if you're an incubator, because it's pretty easy to do. Or you can talk to Bonnie and I, or Alex or Shanine here. So I'll leave this with you guys. I'll email it to Shanine and Alex, and they can send it out to you so you have this document. And again, we're not writing a novel, but you do want to, if you're coming for a level one, this document, the marketing plan alone should be about 4 pages. Not single space, make it legible. Don't bury things, in there in like a 4-page written single space text with no paragraphs. Like, bullet points are fine, just fill it out as long as you have information in there. And I always say the facts rule. So don't try and invent things about yourself or about your plan. Only put things in that you're really going to do. And if you are not going to be doing those things, instead of inventing something, trying to actually come up with a real plan to govern that or deal with that issue, like the radio or your streaming strategy. Like, talk to a friend. Like, you are surrounded by people who are probably excelling in music, and to ask them for advice. Finally, think about a release timeline. So this is one thing where you lay out everything that you're going to do from like after you finish the recording to the end of the cycle of the record or a single. And it probably should be 4 to 5 to 6, or even 8 to 12 months long, depending on what you're doing. If it's just a single, it's probably going to be a lot shorter lifespan. If it's an EP, you're probably going to drop a couple singles, content, maybe some posts, maybe there's radio servicing if you're going to do something like that. Then the whole thing drops. So something like that, you lay it out with dates, put it together. It's really not that onerous, but boy, is it ever practical later. And this is a chance to really like test your test your thinking. Show it to other people. Show it to Alex. Show it to Janine. Show it to me. Show it to your mentors, and then get external feedback. Because we are not Beyonce. Like, we can't just drop a record and draw the world's attention to it, and the jury recognizes that. We have to work, unfortunately, and part of the system playing the game is building engagement and having a continual flow of content coming out. Doesn't have to be overwhelming, just have a nice strategy that covers all your bases. Any questions about the marketing plan here? Okay. And Janine, any online? Okay, great. So I'm going to keep rolling if I can. Yeah. I'll look at the budget. I don't know if I'll be able to pull the budget up today. That might be a little much, but we'll see if we can do that. But in the budget, there's a few things to keep aware of. It's all estimates. It doesn't have to be exact figures, but it's best to go and try and get real figures. So if this is your first time doing this, check with the producer what their fees are. If you check with your studio what the costs are for the session, add that all up. And, your musicians and whatnot, put that all into the budget. As I mentioned, it's formatted Excel document, and it will do the math for you. In there's a couple little artist-friendly aspects to this. There's a donated fee, which you're allowed to claim. This is to account for the fact that a bunch of costs that artists often incur are not able to be accounted for through cash transactions, such as calling in favors or donating your own time, and that is what that is there to account for. There's an administrative fee that's baked into the grant. It's an award of up to 15%. Sorry, it's not an award. It's a top up to the budget of 15%, and there's some artist fees capped in there at $300 a day. So we expect you to claim artist fees for your own time, and that can be donated or paid cash or whatnot. Generally, a lot of people donate their own artist fees. I recommend doing that. We're happy to review the budgets with you, too, if you have any questions about that. And same with the folks online. If you're ever working through your budget and you're stumbling, you don't quite get it, just reach out. We'll happy to take time to look over what you've done. Again, the Excel sheet does all the math for you. It'll actually fix any errors, and we'll add in the admin fee. So all that shoots out a number at the bottom, which will be your final budget. So one key note, related party expenses aren't eligible. So we also don't allow you to claim in-house costs. So you can't, if you are the artist working on a project, we don't let you claim time for graphic design. You can only claim your artist fee for recording on the project. Or if you're self-producing, you can either claim the artist fee or a production fee, both capped at $300. And if you're self-producing, there are a few technical issues we should chat about, but it's totally fine to self-produce. Ideally, you'll have a track record as a producer. To do that, and one other key thing is you always have to record it in an accredited studio. So an accredited studio is a studio that Manitoba Film and Music has vetted, and we have a list on our website. Generally, all professional producers and studios are accredited by us. And if you're not recording with one, they should probably just reach out and get accredited because it's not too hard. So if you're self-producing, you have to get yourself accredited. Any questions about the accreditation tip? Yeah, got one here in the room. Yeah, people accredit themselves. Like, they usually have a track record as a producer. And so we ask that either they have a track record of producing their own material and putting it out in the marketplace, and it's a professional caliber, or that they have a track record of producing other people, and it's a professional level and high caliber. Or they have training, like mid-ocean grads, stuff, and so on, can get accredited. Nope, no. It's really simple form. We just want to get demo material from you, or a reel, so to speak, information on you, information on the business, gear list. Yeah, and it's on our website on the left-hand menu under accredited studios. So that is the short story of the programs. It's a bit of a crash course, but you guys are going to be invested in this as in the participants in the incubator are anyways. And I thought it'd be pertinent to also show you our portal. So here are our emails. And this is the URL for the portal, which I'm going to jump to in a sec here. So you can always reach out to Bonnie or I if you have any questions. And we'll bounce to the portal now. Let's see if I can pull this off. Let me just see if that, oh, it worked. Okay. So this is the welcome page for our portal. I don't know if anybody here is taking a look at it yet. All applications are received through this nowadays. We hope that it's fairly intuitive. First go around, you'll probably have a few questions. The trickiest part of it, I find, is just getting yourself registered and choosing the right category. So when you're coming to the system for the first time, you want to create a profile. And to do that, look down here in the bottom left corner. It says register. Click on that. And it's going to give you two options to register. You guys are all going to come in as applicants because you're applying to the programs. There's only two ways you can come in, either as an applicant or as a grant writer juror. You're not, if you are doing both, always choose applicant, okay? Because you're going to be applying to the programs. That's the key thing. If you're going to be in our jurors, that's fine. We can work you in through our own channels to do that. But key thing is if you're applying to the programs or you're working for a company that is applying to the programs, you want to come in through this, the top one. Click on that. And this takes you to your first registration page here. If you have not ever applied to Manitoba Film and Music, you're actually going to go to a different page. This instructions above here will take you there, but I'll just speak briefly about this page. This page actually has a search window for those people that have come to Manitoba Film and Music previously, and you can put in a company name there, and it'll look up your company name. So if you've ever applied, you'd use that. And then what will happen is you'll fill out the balance of your information here and hit submit, and we'll receive that, and we'll take you through the next steps. If you are new to us, you'll click here. If you're not actually in the system, you're going to start from scratch. And this is the start from scratch page. Pretty simple. It's just who you are, what your business name is, or your artist name, and which category you're applying to, film or music, and then your contact information. And you submit that to us, and then we'll take you through the next registration steps. But those are the first steps for registering. And then I'll take you a little bit inside the portal. Yeah, I have another question from the internet. Okay. Right. The question from online is there a difference between being an accredited producer or an accredited studio? No, we've changed actually the name of our accreditation system, and we file everybody under accredited recording services. So that's supposed to capture everybody. The criteria is the same. We find that bricks and mortar studios are definitely a valuable asset, but so are producer skills, and people can record anywhere and make great music, honestly, or can with the right people. And so we'll accredit producers to carry their accreditation to any place that they deem fit for recording. I hope that answers the question. So I just logged in through one of my test accounts, and I'll just give you guys a quick tour here with a few minutes because I don't want to take too much time. This is the landing page once you get inside. It's fairly rudimentary and not graphic design because this is the beta version. Like, we just launched this a few months ago. But here we have a list of the programs. 7 film programs are accessible. There's 5 music programs. Well, actually 4 music programs, I believe. 2 tax credits. And, 5 music programs is correct, sorry. An industry support, which is actually a sponsorship program or a grant for that we invest in other agencies with, like Manitoba Music, who we award some funding to. You see your list of applications here under my application. So I have 5 that I've started in my drafts. I have 3 that I've submitted. Oh, I was lucky I got 1 approved. And I have 1 that's closed, which means it's either been declined or I've wrapped it all up. Down bottom here are your action items, which are where you'll find any tasks, and we communicate with you a bit like that. So things that require attention, such as perhaps you have a report due, or there's a letter of commitment, aka our approval notice that's sitting there. We want you to take a look at it. There might be an agreement for you to sign. You can see all those items in here. Up in the top right corner, is your applicant profile. You'll see this, my initial, Steve test user. So you have two kinds of profiles in the system. You'll have one as a user, so okay, your personal profile for you as an individual, and then you as an applicant will be your artist profile. And if you're in a band, you should be able to access share access to your applicant profile with your other band members or collaborators. So my personal profile will just be this fake information here on myself. And then my applicant profile is stuff on my project. So this is where I've got which program I'm applying to. I've uploaded a fake registration. I've got my bio, which is not real. I've never filled this out properly, so don't mind this. Probably not the best example, but information on my past release and social media information. So that's all. This I'm not doing very well. I only have 1,100 followers across everything. I need to work on it. And over on the left side, I can see some grants that I'm working on. And these are organization contacts for this same profile. So if I had band members in there, they would be listed here. A few other key things to note is if you are a grant writer, you can also request access to manage other people's applicant profiles. So if you're working with a third-party grant writer, I can walk you through how to get them, grant them access. And you can also have collaborators on applications. So if you are working on a grant with your other people in your project, you can invite them to collaborate. So I've clicked on my drafts, and I'll just show you the list of programs. So the program we're dealing with today, I don't want to get too lost in the weeds on this portal, but so the program we're dealing with today is the Promote program, which has the guidelines here in both in French and English. And if you did want to change languages, the language option is up on the right. Produce program, we're just going to click on that, and I'll show you a bit about it. It is, it's got some few advisory notes off the top here. And key item is you always want to save draft when you start a new application because it will trigger all the uploads and fields. And in here, it autofills everything from my applicant profile. So this is something that's very useful because this is one of the things that jurors will be using for when they review your application. So you want to make sure your applicant profile is nice and complete. And we will be reviewing that. So it does take a few days to get the applicant profile all set up. So in your spare time, play around with it. It's a no pressure thing. Just start working on it. Start registering. I'll be looking out for new registrations over the next weeks from you guys, and we'll make sure to get you in the system as quickly as possible so that you can continue on and dig in, because you're not going to be able to see the whole produce application and form until we get you in that front door. So we need to get you in the front door first. So you can see all my applicant profile stuff gets pulled in here to my application form. I've got a little submission declaration, which just means I'm authorized to actually submit this application. Key thing here, this tab, project information tab. In here is the application form. Here's where you choose your level. So I'm going to come in for a single. I'm going to click level 1, commercial release, and that's going to change a bit of the fields. I'm going to put in a project title, a little project overview, kind of what we talked about in the marketing plan. You can recycle that here. The genre, pick your genre. Who's working on the project, who's in the project, put their information here. Who's on the team. If you're doing everything yourself, put self for this, but please always make sure to put the distributor's name. All right? So CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKid, if you're doing indie release, all that should be in there. And here are the upload sections. So all the lists that we looked at earlier about the rough demos, the marketing plan, the CV, aka the bios of your production team, this is all where they come in. So you can chuck them in up here. You can format them yourselves. We always want them in PDF. Then the production team, any things you're taking care of yourself, put self, but ideally you'll have everybody's names in here. Don't leave this stuff blank. It'll just cause red flags and confusion. If you don't, the more information, correct information, the better. Recording schedule, when it starts, when it ends. This may seem like a lot, but once you do, like, you're just laying out things you already know, so don't get too stressed. Song information, likely you're the composer. Put all this stuff in here. So if it's only one song, you're going to just have to, you only need to put in one song. Here's your upload field for your demos. I can't remember what they have to be. Are they MP3s? Yeah, they have to be MP3s. So if you try to use another format, it ain't going to work. So convert them to MP3s. If you don't know how to do that, you can dump them into iTunes. That'll do that for you. Right, Alex? Yeah, good. Finally, the budget. So this is the budget template, which you can download, and I'll look at that with you guys right now. And then other financing. So this is just a place for you if you've been so brave and you're chasing other funding as well, you just make note of how much you're applying for. And honestly, once you've written one of these, it's probably going to be pretty easy to write other grants. So, and then a little bit on the financing plan. So the financing plan is just where you lay out how you're going to pay for things, and you can just be a simple statement. You have money in your bank account, etc. And then if you get all that done, all those uploads all taken care of, what do? You send it to, you save draft, and you let Shanine and Alex know it's done, and your mentor, and you have them review it. And you ask Stephen and or Bonnie to review it. That's what you're going to do. Don't hit submit until you're ready, and then we've reviewed it. Okay, that's because we really want to take a look at this because we want you guys to succeed, and we're here to help you through the process. But if you have also completed all those steps, you can hit submit, and it goes in, and it'll go into your submitted folder on your little home page over here. Oops, I don't want to. I should save draft. Let's do that. Oh yeah, one trick in this system, save draft often, okay? It doesn't have an autosave feature. So unless you save it, it's not going to save it for you. Yeah, it could be pretty sad. Oh, hi. Oh, damn. Oh, no. That's horrible. Somebody was just reiterating having an upload trouble and none of the stuff saving. I just want to draw attention to this little fun aspect here. This is where you can invite collaborators. So this is where you can invite your teammates, throw their names in here, add their email, and this just hits invite, and it'll invite them to participate on the grant. Okay, it's quite simple to do. If they're not in the system, it'll trigger them getting registered. Totally fine. So maybe I'll just take 1 second about the budgets, and then we'll wrap it up, unless there's some other questions. I'll just open the budget. Where are we? Oh, yeah, by the way, there's an index on the right-hand side here. So if you just want to not have to scroll through everything like I just did, you just click on it. I'm just going to download the budget with Manitoba Music's awesome, super zippy internet. Should be opening. And I also just want to take a second to thank Manitoba Music for hosting me here again and setting up this awesome tech setup, which was a bit of a struggle. I had for everybody's patience. Come on, buddy. It's not scary. You can open. Stand by. Oh. All right. Don't worry. Here we go. I think you should be able to see that. Yep. This is our budget template. So it has two sections. It has the initial budget, which is the first tab. And all these cells are loaded with formulas, so you just dump in numbers, and the math happens magically, and we'll add up all your totals. Everything that should happen in a budget happens for you. You just have to go out and get your estimates and throw them in here in the various categories. And it should cover every kind of expense that you could be incurring during a recording process. If there's something that's not in there, reach out to us. Maybe we've missed something and there's an error, or maybe it needs to go into a different category. So yeah, the studio time, the hired musicians, mixing costs, mastering costs, and any additional engineering costs, all that stuff is accounted for in here. Design costs, and then it runs all the numbers and gives you this final total. And if you're receiving, whoops, all right. It also tells you when you are clicking on a cell that you can't edit. It should give you your final number in that. And then the second page is the final cost report, which if you get funded comes into play, and that's where at the end of the process you actually put in your final costs. So the whole exercise will be that at the end you will give us your estimated budget at the beginning and then your final budget. And then we'll look at the final budget and we'll ask you to have kept all your receipts and proofs of payment. Remember, key items too with us are that we love proofs of payment, and expenses can only be incurred up to $150. That's in the cheat sheet, I think, except for the artist fees. And if you're claiming your artist fees, it's actually there's a form that we'll give you to declare all the musician fees on, and that all happens at the end, and it's pretty self-explanatory. We've moved from having full audits of your expense reports to just being spot audits. And a spot audit just means we're going to ask for a couple expenses. So from your list that you've given us, we're going to ask for a proof of payment and an invoice for 3 to 4 of your expenses. So it's a lot less onerous than it used to be. Any questions about the budget page? Okay, so that was a lot, but once you get into this stuff, you'll find it's stuff you're probably already looking at, like you're already considering the costs, you're already thinking about how you're going to market things. And the portal should be self-explanatory too, but there's a few steps, so encourage you to reach out if you are having any questions or concerns, and don't be intimidated by this stuff. Just dig in there. We built it for you, and if it's not working for you, that's on us. So hopefully it does work, and you find your way in. And with that, we can wrap, Alex, if you want, unless there's more questions from the room or online. Oh, we've got a couple in the room here. Okay. Oh yeah, so the rough demos should just be not market ready, like they shouldn't be totally done. We are expecting you to apply with just your rough demos that you're making in your room or in your basement or with your friends in the studio, in the jam space, and that you're going to come in for all the costs that you want to incur to finish them. We changed the rules so you can actually come in for mixing only. So if you have started recording already, you can come in for mixing. Thing that I should mention is that costs are always recordings are only eligible for funding if the application was received within 30 days of that recording starting. So there's a bit of a window. So if you're starting a recording today, you're fine to apply because the deadline's coming up in a month. You apply if you're starting now. You want to apply within a month, right? Ideally, you get your application in before you start recording, though. That's the best. If you've already recorded something and you want you want the mixing and mastering costs covered, that's fine. You can come in for mixing and mastering as well. So there's a few scenarios. Does that help? Or is that clear as mud? Yeah, totally. Yeah, like because it'll show up in your budget because you won't be coming in for recording costs. You'll be coming in for mixing, mastering, right? And it is always generally about finishing the recording if you're coming in for the commercial release. If you're coming in for demo, you're just going amok about in the studio, and you're starting from scratch. We'd be submitting rough demos anyways. Either way, you're always submitting a rough demo. They don't have to be fully polished. And it's just like key things. The vocals got to be on. Musicianship has to be on. You don't want things out of tune. Anything that'll draw people's ear. It's okay if it's a little crunchy. Maybe it's not wide band, full fill. The bass isn't hitting. Whatever. That's fine. Just make sure that the song is great and the performance is great. Does that help? Okay, cool. And second question in the room? Okay, the question is if there's 2 independent artists on the same album, can you come in for more than an album's worth of funding? Or... Oh, yeah, you can do a collaborative album for sure. Yeah, so you would be the lead applicant if you're going to Manitoba. Are they both Manitobans? Right. So I mean, you just come in under that project. If you want to apply under one of your artist profiles, that's probably fine. You would just note that this is a collaborative record in the marketing plan and in the information where you put the song information in and label the demos as such. Is it Is it two persons' names or is it a new project? Well, yeah, that sounds like a a collaborative project. It could be steered by either of you through the system, but one application, and yeah, so it sounds like it would be a single application, and you would just lay it out the way you would market it. Like, what's the bio? It would be the collaborative bio. It wouldn't be just your bio, and you could tweak your bio in the application portal to adjust for that if you needed to for the specific application. You can reset it later. But if it's a long-standing project, like we have like a couple collaborative projects like that, but they have a name, they work under that name, they continually come back, so they have their own profile outside of their artist profile. So kind of a few options as you get closer to finishing up, finalizing that idea. Happy to chat more about that with you. Any other questions in the room here or online? Okay. So I just want to reiterate, just recording applications have to be done in advance of done in advance of the recording, starting or no more than 30 days after the recording has started. So there's a window of 30 days in advance of you submitting your recording or your application that you can start recording. So if you submit an application today, you could have started recording July 10th and still be eligible. If not, you can always come in for mixing, where the recording costs are not eligible. Okay, so clear as mud. 30-day window in advance of the submission of the app for you guys to incur costs on that. It's not true of the other programs, so that's why I want to reiterate that. And I hope I explained it somewhat clearly. So I want to thank everybody online for participating. It's great to have you. Sorry about the delay. And everybody in the incubator, we look forward to being on this journey with you. We're stoked. Can't wait to hear the music. And I want to thank Shanine, Rose, Alex, and everybody in Manitoba for Music for putting this whole thing together and helping us do the incubator. And I want to wish you guys all luck on your journey out there. Don't be strangers. Reach out. And remember, we want to see your applications in advance of the application, them being officially submitted. So you can save them in draft in the portal, and then contact us. And it's true for anybody out there. You don't have to be in the incubator. Bonnie and I are happy to take a look at your apps before they're officially submitted. There you go.
So thank you again to Stephen for this info session. I hope everybody got their questions answered. People at home, watch it, rewatch it. Feel free to reach out to us at Manitoba Music. Myself, Alex at Manitoba Music, or Shanine at Manitoba Music would be happy to reach out. And make sure to check out our website too, because we have a lot of stuff on our YouTube channel, through our Facebook, under the MusicWorks branding and the Indigenous Music heads, both of them. Really chance to get some great info. Anyways, thank you for everybody watching. Again, rewatch it. I'm Alex Sani. I'm the Industry Development Coordinator here at Manitoba Music, and I was happy that you spent some of your evening with us. Have a great evening, and that's it.